Optaflexx is a feed ingredient that's typically fed to cattle in the last 28 to 42 days of the finishing period. Research has demonstrated that when Optaflexx is fed, it can increase live weight gain, can improve feed efficiency, and also increase carcass leanness, yet while still maintaining beef's natural taste, tenderness, and juiciness. First and foremost, if you realize that Optaflexx is fed essentially over the last 30 days on feed, it helps a cattle feeder to be able to target or hit a marketing window much more effectively in developing the discipline on trying to target cattle for a specific out date. One of the other benefits that a lot of people sometimes fail to realize is that because Optaflexx does increase carcass leanness, it's shifting and improving the yield grade distribution on your cattle. And in today's market, where we're typically seeing a lot of heavier finished cattle with more 4s and 5s, Optaflexx does cause a decrease in the numbers of 4s and 5s and improves the numbers of 1s and 2s as we're talking about yield grade distributions. So as when we think about the use of Optaflexx, keep in mind that it's only used during the last 28 to 42 days on feed. And then the response from an economic perspective is very important. If you're selling on a live weight perspective, you'll typically be able to realize an extra $10 to $15 per head net return on your cattle feeding. Yet if you're selling on a grid or a hot carcass basis, you can typically realize between $20 and $25 per head net return. There's a lot of ways that a cattle feeder can manage Optaflexx, even in smaller operations where they may not have the capabilities to use these technologies in the past. There's several ways of delivering Optaflexx to your cattle in your feed yard. At first, if we talk about the 3 different methods, first we can talk about having a microingredient machine. If you do have a microingredient machine, that's a logical way. But you can also work with your consulting nutritionist or feed company nutritionist and get Optaflexx into a traditional type B liquid or dry supplement. And then lastly, if you don't have the capabilities to add an additional supplement to your feed yard, Optaflexx can be fed as a top dress, where you can feed approximately 1 pound of a medicated feed supplement to those cattle and adding Optaflexx on top of your diets. That way you don't have to worry about additional feed mixing responsibilities. You can literally take a bag of top dress pellets and feed it on top of your finished feed to those cattle that you have on your final Optaflexx ration. One of the things we've done at Elanco is we have spent considerable time and energy trying to understand the potential impacts that Optaflexx has on cattle well-being. Specifically, we've actually spent time, we've been scoring cattle mobility, or how cattle actually walk and behave at a packing plant. And we've actually seen very little impact of Optaflexx on cattle mobility. We've also tried to better understand the disease state, or specifically what happens when cattle are handled and how do they behave following handling. We've come to understand that how cattle are handled has a much greater impact on animal well-being than any other parameter today. If you do have any questions on Optaflexx or any of Elanco's products, I would encourage a cattle feeder to reach out to their local Elanco sales rep or call one of your local Elanco technical consultants. As always, we're always here to help you as a cattle feeder improve your production practices and help you take advantages of these technologies.